Hi, everybody. Well, it's Emma. Welcome to my channel. Today, I have an actual guest with us that we're going to be talking to. His name is Robert Bortins, and he is from Classical Conversation. And reading my email, I came across his email, and he's talking about how the corporations are physically not or vowing to not hire woke culture. Now, I have been talking about woke culture part of the LGBTQ part of that for well over a year now. And I didn't really realize how much of an impact that it's really having on the business sector, and how sometimes our beliefs can literally keep us from getting a job. So welcome to the show, Robert. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm really glad you could join us today. So talk to everybody a little bit about what woke culture is and how some of the things that we can identify it with as.
Yeah, so woke culture in a lot of ways is just these ideas of microaggression that these ideas stemming from critical theory, whether it's critical race theory, critical gender theory, critical queer theory, these ideas that Western civilization is evil, that the world would be better without the United States or without some of these Western morals, and that really, I think it boils down to that people feel like because you identify or you look a certain way, that you're really dividing people into oppressed and oppressors, and the oppressors can have anything done to them and it's okay because the oppressed have the right to really get unshackled. And so we've seen that by canceling on the right for quite some time, especially through you saw that through COVID, but now with Hamas attacking Israel, we've seen a lot of colleges protesting, or students at college protesting in favor of Palestine, and a lot of the billionaire class that has been donating to these colleges. A lot of them, of course, are Jewish, but a lot of them are seeing that their dollars aren't being spent wisely, and have, I think Bill Ackman is the probably the richest, most famous one to say, I'm not donating any more money. And these lawyers, these individuals who are supporting Palestine and indirectly Hamas, we shouldn't be hiring them into our companies. So that's what's been going on, recently over the last, I guess, couple weeks now.
Why is it such a problem that they're pushing these ideologies in school? Because I see it mostly within the younger generation, not so much the older generations, but the younger generations. And they're pushing these ideologies that it's like, you have to agree with all of it. Otherwise, you're trash. You will be canceled. And it's almost like a type of bullying, in my opinion. If you have a different opinion, then you're going to be canceled. They're going to attack you. They're going to dox you. They're going to do horrible things to you.
Yeah. So again, it goes back to these critical theories, and then it also goes back to the fact that we've rejected truth, that there isn't a universal truth for us to go and find, that it's all of our individual truths. And then if you attack my truth, then you're attacking my identity, you're attacking me as a person. And since that is a aggression, suddenly I'm now the oppressed, you're the oppressor. And so I am able to do whatever I can to knock you off your pedestal. And really they flip the positions around, where they become the oppressors against an individual who might hold ideas that aren't popular or aren't mainstream, or even if they are mainstream, are against that individual person. And so we've not been able to, we've embraced the logical fallacies of ad hominem attacks instead of looking at ideas and finding truth. But when there is no universal truth to be found, there's only violence left in the wake of that worldview.
Do you find that there is more woke culture in one ideology, maybe race theory, critical race theory, the gender theory, or anything else? Is there one that's more prominent than the other, or maybe I should say one that's more vocal than the other?
Mhm. I think, just like any media, the one that's most recent that has the biggest headlines is going to be the one most vocal. It all comes under these ideas of critical theory, which basically tries to divide us into segments, and it could be by economics is where it started. So if you think about Russia and the Marxism and somewhere between 30 and 50 million Russians killed, they did it by economics. And in the United States, because we are such a prosperous country, or even, the most poor in the United States are probably in the top 10% richest people to ever live. Obviously, there's plenty of economic issues going on with inflation, but in general, almost anyone would rather live in the United States than anywhere else from the economic standpoint. So they have to figure out a different way to divide us, to conquer us. And so, whether it was the Black Lives Matter movement, we were definitely seeing this gender ideology being pushed on young people now in the school system. And it's all about me, me, me. And as a Christian, we know that the flesh is an all-consuming body that obviously the more you feed it, the more it wants, and it's never going to be satisfied. And that's why we look to Christ to fulfill us, because we know this body will never be satisfied. So yeah, I don't know that there's any particular side being more vocal. Earlier on, it was definitely the gender theory side with homosexual marriage and just the whole idea of Disney promoting that now in their movies to young people. And of course, we saw that through the Human Rights Campaign, did a lot of pushing onto corporations to accept those theories. And then, with the George Floyd incidents and those type of things happening in the Summer of Love in 2020, the Black Lives Matter movement definitely showed the ideas of the critical race theory. But it's all under the guise of critical theory and just the different flavors.
I guess I kind of see where they need to have a victimhood, but at the same time, what I think is the most troubling is that these people are literally able to take biology, throw it out, insert their own reality, and then force it upon other people. And other people are literally joining the bandwagon because they feel that if they don't accept that particular ideology, that they're a bad person themselves. And that's not true. I have been very vocal about myself. I was born intersexed, and I have been this way my entire life. I was raised as a male, even though technically, biologically, everything about me is female. And so I truly believe that there are only two genders. And yet I have been attacked by the LGBTQ very harshly and other places simply because I believe that. I'm kind of an example of what the woke ideology would say is plausible, but at the same time, I don't believe it. And so that's where I find that they're trying to bully me to join into something else. And I see so many other people that are just so willing to just accept it, whether it not necessarily my situation, mine's more medical, but still accepting these things, playing into the victimhood of these people. And that seems to be empowering them too. So are we actually hurting them more by not standing to our own ground and just saying, oh yeah, there's more than one gender? Or yes, white people are the worst people on earth and need to be wiped off the face of the earth, like I've seen in some places. I mean, how is this working?
Yeah, well, in my view of the world, that the closer that we can align ourselves with truth, and I believe in universal truths, the more flourishing we will all be. We're all human and we're fallen, and there's the consequences of sin on this world. But by embracing those fallen nature of humanity and promoting that, it's going to be worse off for everyone. And so the best way to help anyone heal and achieve their God-given abilities to be a flourishing member of society is not to confirm and affirm them in things that are not true, but to point them to the truth and get them the help they need. We all need a hand up every once in a while. We all need that support structure, no matter what our race, creed, or gender may be. But when we get affirmed in lies that we believe, that's going to hurt us. I mean, imagine telling someone who's anorexic that they're fat and they need to lose weight because they have that mindset that they need to lose weight. I've had different girlfriends that have had struggles with that, and it's important to remind them who they are, and that they are beautiful, and that's not something that's a struggle that they really are having, but it's not who they are as a person, and point them back to the truth versus if you said something like, hey, you need to lose, yeah, I agree, you need to lose some weight, you're kind of getting a little thick on the sides or whatever like that, right? That would perpetrate a lie. It would hurt them emotionally and physically, and encourage them to continue down a path of harming themselves. So we want to help people heal, and you can't heal if you don't have a standard to live up to. And I believe that God has given us all a purpose and mission here on this earth, and that when we align ourselves with truth, that we're all going to achieve that, and that's going to help our neighbors have a better life as well.
I think something I've observed, and I've been trying to kind of push this out gently to people, but I see that it's a lot of it is stemming right from our own government. And one of the things that they'll say is, they'll push one ideology, they'll push this ideology, they'll say things indirectly that simply divide us. And one embraces it and says, oh yeah, you're right. Like, I'm white, so I'm a horrible person. I need to give all my money and all my possessions away. And, and then you see the other one doing it the other way. And like you said earlier in this thing, it divides. But there's a lot of power and money involved with us being divided, which I think is one of the things that they're playing on, that we don't research any of this stuff ourselves. And we're trying to make people not feel like a victim because we don't want to hurt anybody.
Sure.
So at the same time, how big is politics playing into this?
Yeah, I mean, it's been huge. The Biden administration and the Obama administration have definitely funded, what we would consider on the right, the woke side of these ideas of just gender and race theories. And so, we're $33 trillion in debt. We're spending $5-6 trillion a year. It's really unsustainable, and our government is funding training. I'm near Fort Bragg, now it's called Fort Liberty, and our troops have to do more training on critical gender and critical race theory now than they do on preparing for war. And so, we're going to see more and more young people die if we have to go to war to, defend our allies or defend innocent lives overseas. That's obviously going to cost us more and more money as well. And so, even on the right, there were some efforts to defund some of these things when Trump was in office, or some of these things were coming through. But there are compelling reasons that people believe these false ideas, because they are kind of close to the truth. We do have a lot of opportunity here in the United States, and maybe you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth, and that makes you feel bad about those around you. But that's not the normal operating procedures for the rest of us here in the United States. And instead of offering freedom to achieve all that an individual could achieve, we want to suppress other people's achievements to raise other people. So instead of a rising tide lifting all boats, we want to artificially suppress some people and rise other people up, which will end up with just more harm than good in the long run. And so, I think the government is on all levels funding this stuff. I think about like our public colleges here in North Carolina, like ECU and UNC. They started lying about this gender studies they were doing on little children. And of course, that's causing irreparable harm for those young people. We don't let them choose to smoke or drink or drive at certain ages because of their maturity. But we've got colleges and these these people pushing these gender ideas, encouraging minors to do life-altering surgeries that are non-reversible, that maybe they're going through a phase. Maybe as an adult, they do want to identify differently and want to get these surgeries. I don't know. But I do know that, what we're seeing is that, they're basically causing these young people to become eunuchs from all intents and purposes. And so we're creating almost a eunuch class of individuals who might be going through some identity issues sexually. And, that's just heartbreaking for me because we don't know where they'll end up.
I was reading in school, this is a long time ago, that during the Cold War, right around the time of Nixon, maybe even in the 50s, it may have been the 50s when Eisenhower was the president, but Khrushchev, I think that's his name, was saying that he doesn't need to send one bomb to the United States in order to turn us communist. He would do it through ideology, and he would do it through schools. And I'm starting to see this becoming an actual reality. Do you believe that this is the tool that they're using to do this? Because a lot of those individuals tend to lean towards communism or socialism in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I had a saying when COVID was coming out and there was all these laws being pushed down on us that were unconstitutional. We're all communists now, or we're all socialists now. And so they definitely, use the school system, the redistribution of wealth to deteriorate the shared heritage of Americans, and have used that to divide us, because you can't invade America for multiple reasons. Geographically, just very difficult for us to get to. We have the Second Amendment, so we're armed to the teeth here in the United States. So it really isn't possible to take over us militarily. So you're going to have to divide us up internally. And they've been doing a good job with that. We've been asleep at the wheel with our education system here in the United States. It's financed through Marxist measures. We don't necessarily believe in freedom. And so, our young people are growing up. We don't have our shared heritage anymore. Whether you're a Christian or not, most people can appreciate that we were founded on religious and moral values that were Judeo-Christian. And as we've lost those in our country, we've started to see more and more chaos. And so our Christian capital has really been spent. And so now we will see the fruit of a humanistic Darwinian worldview. And I am predicting here on the show today that we're not going to enjoy that fruit.
No, I'm not enjoying it now. There is a term called go woke, go broke. And we've seen this recently with Ulta. We've seen it with Bud Light and all these other places that are literally pushing, like the Dylan Mulvaney, anything he really got involved with has blown up in their face and has caused some massive sales. I also know that there was a person I was reading about that they were in the business, they were in this office space or whatever, and somebody in there decided that they wanted to be gender queer, and they now decided to go by the pronouns of this, whatever it was at the time. I think it was they, them, whatever. Okay. And so they told the company that they changed it, and so people were using the they, them, and those are and anybody that didn't most likely ended up in HR. The problem with this individual that decided to identify as this also decided to change the pronouns as they felt it needed to change to better identify who they are. Mm-hmm. Didn't always tell everybody either. So the problem with it is if you come up and use the old pronouns, they get offended. And therefore you ended up in HR. And this individual lost a job of over 15 years simply because somebody didn't use the term they, them. Mm-hmm. on something that doesn't even, because generally when you use pronouns, you're not talking to the person directly, you're talking indirectly to somebody else, and it gets back to them somehow. So I can see that this could be a real big liability and headache for corporations. Is this one of the reasons that they're trying not to hire these types of people? And is that constitutionally okay, or is that considered discrimination?
Yeah, I don't know if I would tell you that the Biden EEOC is probably making it so that some of that stuff would be considered discrimination. It definitely is a huge liability for corporations. I know that individuals who have been fired for misgendering someone have been hiring lawyers and have been getting cases settled in their favor. And so, I would just say for, if you don't have absolute truth, then of course you can change your pronouns by minute or by hour, change which bathroom you want to use, change how you want to be identified. So we have to have an absolute truth that we point to, and we have to, not encourage our neighbors to lie. Also, if you're in that situation, you have to have grace towards others. Like if you are, going after other people and causing drama in your workplace for being misgendered, then of course people aren't going to want to hire you because you're going to be known as a toxic employee. And if you are a good employer, right, you want to hire people that are going to work well together, that are going to respect each other, that are going to overlook, minor incidences. And I don't think that it would be unwise for a company to make sure that they're hiring people who are going to work together as a team and look over small offenses. And so, if you're an individual who wants to be woke all the time and always pointing out everyone else's microaggression, then that's not going to be a workplace that is flourishing, that is going to produce good outcomes for the company. The shareholders, then if the company and the shareholders aren't doing well, then the company will inevitably close. Bonuses, healthcare, those type of things, you won't be as generous with. And so, I think, as far as companies definitely are looking more and more, if you have pronouns on your resume, then that resume is going straight into the trash because they don't want to have to deal with possible consequences of someone being accusing another employee of being misgendered. I think, I think from a liability standpoint, it's always better to nip things in the bud before they become a problem.
See, this is what I talk about with people, especially coming out of high school, out of college. They're like, I spent a lot of money on this degree. Yes, the degree depends on what job you're going to get. There are some degrees it's not going to do you any good no matter what job you go get. So choices make decisions that help you thrive in life, whatever that may be. And I see that sometimes we're putting our personal objectives ahead of our success. We're literally making a wall up for ourselves and making it 10 times harder to go ahead and find those jobs or get those opportunities. And now they're complaining about it. So, what is your particular, if you were to give them advice to try to keep them relevant? Yes, it's okay to have different opinions and think differently. What can they do what would you suggest to them to do to just get through and make the best of what they have out there over themselves? If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, or treat others how they would want to be treated. I think, those are called the golden and platinum rules. Those are good rules for all of us to live by. When you just think about, as a Christian, I know that, Jesus was beaten, spat upon, hung on a cross, and he was a perfect person. He never committed any sin towards anyone. And so, as a Christian, I just believe that if someone harms me, that my role is to forgive them and to move on. And, we really want to, as humans who are living on this planet together, to love one another, to forgive one another, and to look past our differences and to our shared common humanity. And so I think you need to prioritize the right things in life. And if you prioritize the wrong things in life, you're going to cause human suffering for others around you. But ultimately, you'll come back to suffering yourself. And it really goes around this whole educational idea of what's in it for me. We've really created an educational system around the idea of selfishness and that it's all about me, 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 me. And then that really comes out as adults in some of these different ideas, instead of being it about we. And I really have this saying that when we work together, we achieve more, but when it's about me, none of us achieve what we can do. So you got to make it about we, and you got to treat others better than they treat you. And if we all do that, then humanity can rise together.
So you've just mentioned something that I found to be pretty interesting. And like you said, it does stem in schools. Should parents be more proactive and see more of what their children are being taught, and maybe have more interest inside of their lives and get them off of a computer or off of the video screen or TV or whatever else that they're giving them, so that way they could take a bigger role in their education and bigger role in their lives, and maybe this would change?
Yeah, I mean, of course, at Classical Conversations, we're a homeschooling company, and so we believe that parents not just have the right, but have the responsibility to educate their children, even if you choose to outsource it to a public school or private school or a charter school or micro school or any of these others. You're ultimately going to be responsible for it. So I believe that children are a multiplying factor, that they are making our family stronger, and I want them to continue to make the world a better place. And so the number one work of any parent should be helping their children to just achieve more than that they've achieved. And you've got to get involved in their education. You are ultimately responsible for it. That teacher is going to pass your student on into the next grade. The school is going to pass them on to the next school or to the real world, and you will live with the consequences of their decision for the rest of your life. I have a saying that you can either raise your children and enjoy your grandchildren, or you can let someone else raise your children, and then you're going to have to raise your grandchildren. Because ultimately families are going to be responsible for their family members, and a strong family unit is going to provide a flourishing culture, not just internally, but going to make everyone's life stronger. So parents, if you're listening to this, you absolutely need to be involved in your kids' school. If your kids go to public or private school, I would suggest telling the administration that you're going to take a day off work and you're going to sit in all their classes. And if they don't let you do that, I would pull my kids out of there right away, because they'll give lip service to parents. I won't hear from almost any public school or private school administrator that says parent involvement is key to the children being successful. But go ahead and try to get involved and see how they behave then. So you absolutely are going to have to be involved in your children's education. You can't just think that just because you're writing a big check to a private school or the government's taking care of them, that you're getting much more than babysitting services.
Agree. Now, we only got a few minutes left, and I do want to be able to close the show here. But before we do that, how can people find you? How can people see what you have going on, and maybe offer up your services to them?
Yeah, so classicalconversations.com is our website. We have over 2,000 homeschooling communities in the United States and another 700 globally. We're in 57 countries, and we have a K through 12 classical education homeschooling service and programs, and we meet once a week with a trained parent tutor, so you don't have to be an expert homeschooler. We're going to help you as a parent become that expert parent that nature and God intended you to be. And you can follow me, The Robert B Show, on Twitter, or X now, and Instagram. And I have a podcast called Refining Rhetoric that you can join once a week as well.
Well, Robert, this has been so much fun. I really embrace learning about these woke cultures and stuff, and how it's come about and how it's impacting us. And I hope that someday we will all wake up and realize that the woke will wake up and realize and get woke again to how they've been manipulated all these years, and how it's literally having a negative effect, not only on their social life, but their personal life as well. And I'm hoping that that will come in at least my lifetime, and it's not going to get too blown out of proportion.
Well, the good news is what we're doing can't continue. The bad
That's
news is what we're doing can't continue.
Absolutely. Well, guys, that is our show. But before I go, I want to kind of give you this last idea that I have been coming up with. As you know, I just did my last show on not letting things define you, like your gender or your ideologies or any of these other types of things. We all should be wonderful people to other people, regardless of where they come from. We are supposed to be brothers and sisters to them. We are not there to judge or anything else. That does not mean that you're woke. That simply means that you identify them as a brother and sister or whatever they want to identify as, and that you're going to treat them just like anybody else in your family and how you'd want to be treated yourself. In fact, Robert talked about that earlier today. We tend to let our gender and other things define us. What you need to have defined is your personality, the things that you're passionate about, that you want to change in the world, and your impact on the world in a positive way. I don't sit there and push my ideologies, but I sit there and show them in different ways, being how I treat you and how I respect it, how I take whatever you throw back at me. And do I attack you or do I just walk away? Do I forgive you? Yes, I always forgive those people. And so I think if we sit there and continue to use this type of ideology, I think we're going to be in a much better place. There is a thing that sometimes you got to understand. You have the right to say whatever you want. You have the right to do whatever you want. But that can cause other people to not necessarily agree and give you some type of negative reaction. That's okay. You just got to understand that we're not here to make everybody happy. We're here to make ourselves the best that we can be for the community and the people around us and our own family. And one of these days, I'm hoping it's very, very soon, we will realize that. It's also something you need to realize is that just because somebody disagrees with you doesn't mean that they hate you. All it simply means is that they disagree. I have a lot of people that disagree with me on a lot of different topics. However, I am still very good friends with many of them. You don't need to sit there and call out and destroy somebody because of a political ideology. And I see that more and more and more on Facebook and Twitter. And what you don't realize is that you are literally being played by the system. They want you to divide. They want you to be taken down, because if we are divided, we become weak. And therefore, the elite people that we are constantly complaining about will actually be able to get their claws into us. We need to be more vigilant in this world. We need to sit there and look around what's going on and not worry about the petty things. What I would be more worried about is not the color of somebody's skin, not the gender that somebody has, not the religion that somebody believes in. But let's look at the homeless people. You really want to do something? Let's look at the homeless people. Let's sit there and focus on the good that we can do to bring the people together. They do realize that if we are together and people are all self-sufficient, the government has no control. And that is the biggest problem. And so we got to stop making the government our gods, and we got to start looking at real problems: health, fighting diseases, fighting homelessness, and taking care of our world around us. I'm not saying go crazy into this global warming type of thing and climate change. What I'm talking about is picking up the trash, taking pride in your house, taking pride in your neighbors, and just work together to be a community. Those are some of my biggest ideologies. That's some of my biggest focuses. And that's the purpose of this particular show that I have created. I have put myself as an example to make myself vulnerable and open myself to attacks in order to help other people that are going through the same problem I did. And it's okay. And I want to do that. When I walk out this door, I'm me. I'm not my gender. I'm not my religion. I am not my financial status. I'm a person that will sit there and bend over backwards to help you. If I see somebody on the side of the road broke down, I will call. I will try to help them on whatever they need. If somebody needs $5 because they're $5 short in the supermarket, I will give them that $5. I will sit there and volunteer at charities that do a good, positive outreach to the community. As we come up to Thanksgiving, if you are one of those people that are really ideologically driven, I challenge you. Go down to the local homeless shelter. Go down to the food shelters. Go down to these places and see what real life is about. These people are struggling just to eat, trying to stay healthy and find clothes, while you're sitting there complaining about somebody misgendering you or somebody not treating you right because of the color of your skin. And it goes both ways. I've seen it going back towards white people just as much as it goes from white people to black people. So stay strong, challenge yourself and see what's really a problem out in this world, not so much the little things that we take and be offended by with everything. So that is all our show today. I will see you guys next week. And please follow me on my website. It's emmalindowd.com. You can also find me on all my social media, which is at emmalindowd. And if you have any questions or comments, please put them in the description. If you have something that I can make a video on, I will absolutely do that. I'm going to try to bring in more people like Robert here in order to talk about the world around us and what we're seeing, and maybe give you an alternative idea or solution to your problem. We can't go through life with blinders like this, like a horse. So I will see you guys next week with more content. Remember, nothing in this world is guaranteed. So tell the people that your friends that you love them. Tell your family that you love them. Do not sit there and take them for granted, because we're not guaranteed tomorrow. So until then, have a great day. Have a safe Halloween if I don't see you before then. And we will talk again next time. Bye.